Hi, I'm Rob, and today we're at the Three Horseshoes in East Worldham. So this didn't start life as a pub, it was a blacksmith once upon a time, and the blacksmith Henry Newman in 1851 started selling beer. But it wasn't turned into a pub proper until 1855. To start the walk, you walk from the Three Horseshoes along the main road, the B3004, in the Borden direction. At the sign for the church, we're going to turn left. So this is the church in East Worldham. It's called St Mary the Virgin. It's 13th century. And it's on a very important site, being a junction on the Roman road between Silchester and Chichester. It's also on the site of a former Anglo-Saxon religious building. Let's take a look and see if we can see inside. The very first thing you notice when you come in at, this is about 10:15 in the morning, is the way the sun streams through this lovely little stained glass window and plays patterns on the wall. It's beautiful. Now this is nice. Churches all over at the moment in the UK are being decorated with flowers, and in this case vegetables as well, for the upcoming Harvest Festival. Up in the corner you've got a bell which was from the East Worldham Church of England school, and it was presented to the head teacher on her retirement. I'm guessing possibly that she's passed on, and that's why it's in the church. So if you look out for the little arrow, the path actually follows on through the churchyard. As we head out of the village, East Worldham was owned for centuries by Winchester College, which will impress Trev because he works for Winchester College. And it's also a little corner of Kent in Hampshire, because it's farms we used in days gone by, in fact right up until the 1990s, for growing hops. I believe there was a brewery in Alton. And of course that came with hop picking holidays for travellers that did seasonal work, and there was a horse fair that was actually held outside the Three Horseshoes once a year at the end of the season. Anyway, we've come to a gate now with several different paths. We don't carry on across the field, we actually take this trodden path here. This path we're on is currently called the Hangers Way, and the Hangers being the steep wooded hills of this part of the country. Down a lovely flight of steps, and then we'll get to the main road at the bottom. It's a slight right, and then across the road and straight on. You come out in the grounds of the old schoolhouse, which I presume that's where the bell came from. And then after this procession of cars have gone by, taking that track over there. Just up the track at the 5-bar gate, we were confused by this. There's a right-hand arrow which you think implies to go up the bank and walk around up the bank, but it's completely impassable. And we come down and there's a left-hand arrow. So we surmise what this means is, instead of opening the 5-bar gate, pass between these posts and head off through into the farmyard. I hope that's what it means. If we get shouted at, I'll let you know. So that's a lovely view opened up to the left, and we're going to be walking along the side of that. There's a finger post down there which takes us off the gravel track and through the 5-bar gate. So that was Smith's farm. There's that lovely view again, and we're taking this path off to the left. And the hill over there to the left is King John's Hill, and I believe was once the site of an Iron Age hill fort. It does look it a bit, you can see the different levels. So heading for this kissing gate which skirts the bottom end of the small pond. A pair of coots making the most of the big empty pond. And that shows the contours of the hill a bit better. Hill fort up in the trees, presumably. Following the Hangers Way through the woods, keep an eye out for the green Hangers Way signs. It takes us to the right, and we carry on straight across the field. Very strange. Any locals know what this is all about? Please let me know. It looks a bit too intricate just to be something to hold a dead tree up, or dying tree. And there's one across the other side of the field. So we come to a little bridge over what is still a dried up stream. It just shows you how long it's going to take after that dry summer we've had to get a bit of water back in the streams. Anyway, we carry on, and there's two paths here. One goes straight on, but remember we're following the Hangers Way for the moment, and that takes you right-handed. At this point we leave the Hangers Way to take what says on the map is a restricted byway, but says on the post is a footpath, but either way we turn right. How wrong was I? We're still on the Hangers Way. So back to the tranquility of the path. Watch yourself when you come round here. There's a chappie that isn't quite reasonable, shall we say. Lives in a caravan at the side of the path, and he gets quite aggressive to people walking on the footpath. So watch yourselves. We emerge out of the woodlands on a nice bit of tarmac road. No strange men. It's a bonus. It's lovely little eclectic places like this that are the joy of walking. I do picture framing. I'm not too sure about that sign. Pickling and bottling what? They're really nice properties here. When you reach the footpath sign, footpath crosses the road and you take a left. So just onto the track, look out, there's some slippery steps going up into the woods, and that's where we go. That's quite a steep flight of steps. So, top of the steps, a bit breathless, come to a field, and we're going to turn left to take the field boundary. Still the last of a few sunflowers left. So down through the trees I can see the golf balls that are the early warning radar at it's RAF Oak Hanger. Maybe we'll need them with Putin going on like he is. And we carry on around the field margin to the right. So we skirted around the field and we look out for this post, And we're going to go down here, which eventually ends up on the road and skirt Hartley Pond. And onto the lane and turn right. And we've turned right to head down towards the church. And to the right is Hartley Mauditt Pond. Very pretty. This is the 12th century church of St Leonard in Hartley Mauditt. It has a single bell and lovely light fixings and very 12th century arch there. Lovely little church. So Hartley Mauditt was abandoned in the 18th century after the Lord of the Manor at the time demolished that manor house in 1798. The name Hartley Mauditt comes from Hartley, which is a deer pasture, and Mauditt, which is the surname of William de Mauditt, who was one of the first sort of squires of the area. In the Domesday Book, Hartley Mauditt appears as Harlage, and that just means woodland. Just past the church, we turn left along this gravel track. So as you see, barely a building here now. There's the post, and the path, although I can't see it, leads diagonally across the field there, and that is the actual site of the old village, where there's sort of raised earthworks from foundations and things, but we'll have a look. You can see the unevenness of the ground here. I suspect if you had ground penetrating radar, I don't happen to carry that with me, but if you did, you could probably pick out the individual buildings that were here. But we carry on straight across on this path, and through the barrier and out onto the lane. It's this lovely thatched cottage. We're going to turn left. As we continue along the lane, there's a beautiful red kite. He's coming back. Can we see him? You might have seen him flitting amongst the trees. I'll try again later if he comes back. But this very nice house. We're going back slightly into the field again to follow the path through the field. So we exit the field at Manor Farm and we turn right. Just past Manor Farm, West Worldham. In fact, right next to it is St Nicholas Church. St Nicholas is a 13th century church, and it sits right alongside the 16th century manor farmhouse. Now the church itself was owned by the Hamble Priory, and friars would have looked after this piece of land for the priory, taken in rents and so on and so on, and probably lived in the manor house or house next door, not quite sure where. Is it open? A book of remembrance for the Queen. And some oldie pictures. A bit of a state there. Lovely, simple little chapel. There's some evidence that this church may have been divided at one time and had a separate entrance for the friars and another for the farm workers. There are 3 altars in this little church, which is unusual. The church was sadly destroyed by fire in 1870, but happily it was rebuilt in 1888. From the church we cross the junction and we head back towards Hartley Church and Oakhanger. Ah, lovely rose hips. They're the best way to make friends with the new girls in your year at school. As we used to do, we used to crush them up and shove them down their necks as itching powder. Horrible little monsters. Right on the bend, Where the sign for Warner's is, there's a footpath sign, and we take this footpath through the fields. The path's slightly diverted here from the map, which obviously hasn't been updated. There's an arrow on here, so we'll follow this path. A little stile, and over the bridge into the next field. And we keep walking, and the pub is within sniffing distance now. And don't get diverted by any side paths, we're heading straight on towards Manor Farm over there. We turn right to walk down through the farm. Now just past the farm there's a footpath on our left, which we follow between the hedge and the fence. Wow, what a bumper harvest of lovely red apples, next to a very lovely yellow rose. Still a few blackberries hanging on. So it looks very much like Manor Farm has been converted into a very nice complex of possibly luxury apartments maybe. Judging by the sound of the road, this looks like the last stile in the 100-metre hurdles that we've just done. And we'll be back on the main road and we turn left. We've turned left, we're going to head back to the pub. So that was a good walk. It was about 6.5 miles. We've met some colourful local characters. We've seen the deserted village of Hartley Mauditt, and it's been a nice scenic walk. So we're about ready for a pub lunch now, so let's go on inside and have a look, see what they have to offer. So a nice cup of coffee, and then I'm going to have a nice prawn cocktail baguette. Lovely pub. They've got rooms as well if you want to stay over. They don't mind walkers' muddy boots, although I have changed mine, I've got to say. And as you would have seen from the photo, and the dog going by, they're dog friendly.